Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko, and we begin tonight with a number, 101. That is the number of homicides the Rose City suffered in 2022, a new record topping the previous year. Behind those numbers are stories, lives, and names like Nick Hammond, whose murder remains unsolved. As Catherine Cook reports, his family is now asking the community to step up for all the victims.
Candles light up the Vancouver waterfront for Nick Hammond, father, son, friend, and Marine. It's the halfway point between Ridgefield, where Hammond grew up, and Portland, where he was murdered in October.
And it's nice to know that they showed up for us and Nick.
Portland police say someone shot and killed Hammond October 1st around 1:30 in the morning. It happened near Northeast 162nd and Sandy Boulevard. Hammond's mom and stepdad say he'd been living in a motel nearby.
He had a big heart. He would walk up to a guy sleeping on a bench and give him his last 20. He had his struggles, but he would give his last penny to help somebody else.
On this night,
What would be his 37th birthday.
there are cupcakes.
Do you like one too?
Nothing.
In another world, these candles would have come with a birthday wish. The only gift loved ones want to give Hammond now is justice.
We need the community to step up and speak up if they know something or see something about any of these deaths or cases.
Hammond's death was one of 4 homicides police responded to within just 24 hours, and one of 101 murders committed in Portland last year, now the deadliest on record.
He's much more than a number or a statistic. He has a lot of people that love him and miss him, and I miss him terribly.
You know that somebody knows who shot Nick. We know they do. If there was justice for the crimes, maybe the crimes would decrease.
Crime Stoppers of Oregon is offering up to a $2,500 reward for information leading to the arrest of Hammond's killer, and you can remain anonymous. In Vancouver, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Definitely scary. I hope that they can come up with a solution that obviously helps. I mean, there's never going to be something that absolutely just solves the whole problem, right? But definitely something to make people more aware, put notice that there's cops around, people are aware of what's happening.
And by now, it's something so many parents like the one you just heard from are familiar with. 4 shootings across 3 months near Portland area high schools, including one Saturday night outside Franklin High with a basketball game going on in the gym. Our cameras recorded the chaotic moments inside after those shots rang out and people ran out of the building. Tonight, the update, though, Portland Public Schools and police are now in discussions around increased patrols, and not just at Franklin. In an email to the families, the district superintendent also said he is looking for a comprehensive neighborhood safety plan from the city, from police and the DA's office. Now, with respect to Saturday's shooting, one person suffered minor injuries. Officers say they arrested a 15-year-old boy and recovered a firearm. An update tonight on the murders of 4 University of Idaho college students and the suspect, 28-year-old Brian Kohberger, a PhD candidate studying criminology at Washington State University just across the border. Today, students in Pullman were back on campus, while across the state line in Moscow, students were also back with classes set to get underway on Wednesday. Heightened security now being reduced on campus, though the university says it will continue to offer resources like counseling and private security. Kohberger, meanwhile, due back in court Thursday morning. That'll be his second appearance since he was arrested last month in Pennsylvania. Tonight, while a wide-ranging gag order prohibits those currently involved in the case from speaking to the media, his former public defender, the one by his side when the suspect waived his extradition, talked to our sister station in Spokane. Here's Janelle Finch.
Jason Labar says he first met his client at the Monroe County Correctional Facility.
Ordinary, average type guy.
He says the first thing he said to the suspect was, "Don't tell me anything about the case. Don't tell me any facts. That's information for your Idaho attorney."
And then I explained to him, essentially the extradition proceedings. And he was very calm. He was aware of what was going on. He was aware of the murders.
He says his client was intentional about what was said on his behalf in the statement to the public.
The statement that was written by myself in my office, but the exonerated, the eager to be exonerated was his. He specifically said eager to be exonerated. rather than he was innocent or something like that.
Now, proving his innocence is in someone else's hands. Kootenai County Public Defender Ann Taylor.
When I spoke to Attorney Taylor, I essentially said, tag, you're it.
Labar says after reading the affidavit, he says his client's defense team may be able to poke holes in an upcoming trial.
So you have transfer DNA on the teeth. Transfer DNA can stay on an item for up to at least a year if no one else touches it or it's unblemished or something like that. So, I mean, that doesn't place him at the scene on the day of the crime. Certainly it's suspicious that he turns his cell phone off, but cell phone tower pings are unreliable at best. If it pings off a tower, you're talking that the individual's within 20-mile radius of that tower.
Labar says for those invested in this case, this is just the beginning of a long process ahead. As things continue to develop, he says the public should view this case with an open and objective mind. Labar says he's continuing to work with the suspect's family in Pennsylvania, but will no longer be working directly with his former client now that he's in Idaho.
I should clarify Koberger's appearance on Thursday. That would be his second in Idaho, his third overall. Meanwhile, Steve Gonsalves, the father of Kaylee Gonsalves, one of the 4 students murdered, told our sister station in Boise when he saw the suspect in court, he appeared to be, quote, defeated. Quote, I think he knows how much he has to go against and the reality of it is setting in. That from the victim's father, end quote.
I am honored and so deeply humbled by this opportunity to serve Oregon.
We'll say hello to Oregon's 39th Governor Tina Kotek making her inaugural address after she was sworn in Salem this afternoon. Kotek, of course, the longest serving speaker in state history, takes the helm from Democrat Kate Brown, who leaves with the lowest approval rating of any governor in the nation. So today, Kotek outlined her plans for an executive order she says she plans to issue on Tuesday, including declaring a homeless state of emergency and establishing a statewide housing target of 36,000 new homes per year, something she said is an 80% increase over current trends.
We must take on our housing crisis at the scale needed to solve it. Imagine an Oregon where no one has to live in a tent on a sidewalk.
Kotek is urging the House to take up her $130 million investment package with the goal, she says, of moving at least an additional 1,200 people off the streets within a year. That package, though, she cautioned, is just a first step. And beyond a new governor, one of 2 lesbian governors in the country, I should add, this session also has something else. The most diverse Oregon legislature in state history. 19 people of color, including 5 Vietnamese Americans, were sworn in today as lawmakers. Our Brian Clerkley caught up with some of them.
A traditional Vietnamese lion dance to welcome 5 Vietnamese American legislators during the swearing-in ceremony in Salem. Rep. Daniel Nguyen represents Lake Oswego in southwest Portland. He's Vietnamese American, a small business owner, and is here with his family celebrating his new role. He says representation matters.
Among the 5 of us, we have a common background coming from refugee families, but we're all in different professions. Some of us are in the small business community, others are in the National Guard, in the medical fields.
Rep. Hoa Nguyen represents parts of East Portland, Damascus, Happy Valley, and Sandy. This traditional lion dance made everything feel so real to her. She says the more diversity within government, the better.
I felt seen in that capital, and for historically, you've only seen certain types of people serving in that space.
Representative Con Pham was the first Vietnamese American legislator elected in 2020. Now she's happy to be serving with 4 other colleagues from her community.
I think it's a real testament to the resilience of refugees and immigrants, and also the capacity of Oregon to be a welcoming and inclusive state.
Inside the state capitol, family and friends gathered around. This historic moment, a special occasion for generations of Vietnamese Americans in the same room. Newly elected Rep. Hai Pham with District 36 says it will be nice to see people who look like him at the Capitol.
It makes me feel a lot more comfortable. 20 years ago it looked a lot different, but I felt so welcome through this entire process.
Rep. Thuy Tran represents House District 45, which is northeast Portland. She says she feels honored and privileged to be part of history.
Diversity will bring varied life experiences and perspective to the table.
The official start to the legislative session is January 17th, and some of the issues lawmakers would like to focus on include housing, education, and public safety. In Salem, I'm Bryant Clerkley, KGW News.
Well, today is also the start of the new legislative session in Washington, with lawmakers in Olympia meeting in person for the first time since the pandemic began. So here are a few of the proposals to keep an eye on: a constitutional amendment to protect abortion rights, an assault weapons ban, and a $4 billion bond measure backed by Governor Jay Inslee to build thousands of affordable housing units. Now, a staff writer with Pluribus News explains that for some, this session is bringing some newfound hope.
We haven't seen anything like this in a number of years, decades, in fact. And what the governor is saying is that the time has come for a solution out of Olympia that meets the scope of the state's housing and homelessness crisis.
One post-COVID change: members will still be allowed to vote remotely if they are out sick. Washington's session lasts until the end of April.